Hello and welcome to the third league of the day with Lotus Field Jeskai. We have seen the highest highs. We have also seen the lowest lows of this deck. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun overall. It is definitely doing something powerful, and that's why I like it. Like, usually the other Jeskai decks are just doing something a little bit too fair. And right now, you cannot really do fair when the quote-unquote fair deck in the format is playing Udo and Omnath. Just doing the Jeskai thing is it just cannot keep up like that. It's just not a realistic expectation to keep up with what the Omnath Udo decks are doing. So I like that this deck has an angle that is on the unfair side of things. What I don't like though is this hand, so I'm gonna ship it. This hand is kinda weird. Playing against the Lurrus deck, so I guess that we're probably gonna get Thoughtseize. Gonna bottom tip. Actually, no, I actually cannot really afford to bottom the Flagstones, I don't think, because Flagstones makes Wildfire like an insane top deck. Well, otherwise we're just bad. Oh wow, did we have a raid? I'm sorry I missed the raid. Who was it by? Oh, Yama, thank you for the raid, man, or the host or whatever it was. Welcome everybody from Yama's stream. We're playing Aspiring Spike's latest brew here. It's been a great time. That is undeniable. It really has been a great time. Bolt. Bloodsun number 2. Not so great. Bloodsun has actually been really good against the Shadow decks, because if you played on turn 3 and they, like, in this case, like, my opponent just drew like double fetch land, so it's probably not going to be that effective, but it makes it pretty awkward for them to damage themselves, which obviously makes their shadows that much worse. Also, this Bloodsun is going to be insane against this Renin 6. Nice Renin 6 nerd. Yeah, that's exactly the worst case scenario, because Bloodsun blanks the Flagstone subside here. So that was just like straight up a terrible draw now. I guess we can destroy their land. So we can just like, hopefully they don't play Goyf right now, and we can Wildfire their green source. Maybe they don't have another basic. That could be kind of hot. That could be kind of hot. But yeah, redundant Flagstones can be a little bit awkward. Let's see what they got here. Thoughtseize. It's probably the best card. The good thing is that if we find a Lotus Field, we probably win, right? Because we just play it to Fairy, and then we untap it, and we can use Valakut Awakening to cycle the rest of our hand. So we're potentially in a really fine shape, actually. Yeah, they took the Wildfire because they don't want to they don't want me to blow up their land. That's cool. Inquisition 2? Okay, probably gonna take the Valakut Awakening. Yeah. Alright. That means no threat. Yeah, that's a lot of damage, but no threat and no rain activation for whatever reason. We gotta find a land though. I mean, that's a land, I guess. Force of Negation. Okay. So if we find any land, we get to slam Teferi. Ping me for 1. Am I forcing this? I'm not forcing this. They could have a bolt. That's probably something more exciting to force. Why do you care about Wildfire? Because it draws a card, and I guess that their angle was to try to like kill me. Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit confused there. Get to do a little basics check here, which is nice. And now we die, so we don't hear a land drop. Thoughtseize taking our land. Pretty impactful. Boom. Wildfire, no good. Forces, no good. Bloodsun. Actually, Bloodsun I do like on the play. What else? Nexus can go. We don't need it. Maybe a couple of Cryptics and 1 Tailsend. Tailsend answers. What does Tailsend answer? It answers Ren, Lurrus, random stuff like that. This has been one of the issues. Like the deck is playing 26 lands, but at the same time, 4 of those lands are Lotus Fields. So they're in reality, you're playing 22 lands. So very often we have find ourselves in situations where we had like 1 land plus Lotus Field, and we kept the hand, and we never found the second land, and we just lost. So let's bottom. So we can't really play around with Thoughtseize or Inquisition. So it's just been both Serum Visions. Put a move to 5 as well. So we're gonna be on even footing at least. Maybe I should have... It's close, right? Maybe what I could have done, because I can find like a blue source here, and then I could find a land, then I can find like a Tailsend or something like that. Maybe what I should have done, we didn't get punished, but maybe what I should have done is play the Flagstones on 1. So then I don't draw like blue land into Tailsend, I guess. It was something to consider. He's like, I mean, when your hand is all bounced on. Yeah, except that, yeah. Been trying to Brunei version using the Lotus Field tech with limited success. Yeah, I don't think it's very good. Let's get a Triumph, pass the turn. Just kind of by design, Squee. Usually, like this deck doesn't care about having multiple copies of... This deck doesn't care about having multiple lands in play because you are playing Lotus Field, and then Teferi actually wants to untap few lands that... that's a great draw. Teferi wants to untap few lands that that tap for a lot of mana, right? So because of the fairy, you kind of have to, like, the engine works here, but when you think about the context of other decks, like a Naya, for example, usually Naya decks, like the ones that I tend to play all the time, basically, those kinds of decks actually are in a different spot, in like they actually want to have a bunch of different lands in play because of Field of the Dead. So kind of by design, the engine just doesn't really work in those decks, which can make things a little bit awkward, you know? Let's say Bolt, another Madcap. I kind of want that second Madcap. Not too hot on the Bolt. Am I cycling this land though? I think I'm playing this one. Can't attack. Well, actually, we could have. But if we had attacked, then my opponent's shadows would have grown. Great attack. This makes the shadows huge, but it also blanks my opponent's lands, though, so... Let's do that one again. There's no way they have that many answers to the Imperium package, right? You want to attack again? That's a blank. So if I attack with everything... They have to block with one of them, except that they don't block. So if I attack with both, my opponent can take one of them and then block the other one. And because of how this shadow works, their shadow would not die, but getting them down to 4 seems important when I'm playing a Bolt Snap Bolt deck. Yeah, this is a great block from my opponent. Yeah, unfortunately we just have to send that bolt to that guy. Okay. So basically we're just waiting for a Cryptic to show up and then we're gonna win. Shark also wins. There you go. So I guess we can play around Fatal Push. I don't know why my opponent would have Fatal Push in their deck, but we can play around it, so we might as well. Next turn we can just like cast a hard cast. We can just cast the 4/4 Shark. How long till more people play shenanigans for madcaps? I don't know. I mean, while they are not, we might be able to continue getting away with it. 4-4 shark. Let's go. Oh, I tapped wrong. Now I can't cast out the wreckage. I'm an idiot. Scourge does look like it have flying. I think at some point in design it did have flying and then they removed it. Blood Sun not so hot on the draw. I also am not feeling the Tail Send either. What's up, Quetzalcoatl? How has the deck felt? We have seen the highest highs and the lowest lows today over 2 leagues at this point. We have had very like just kind of busted openers where like our deck is just doing the whole thing and it's just completely unbeatable. And then we have had a bunch of like unplayable hands, sorry, that just like don't do anything and don't go anywhere because the mana just doesn't function. So you have hands that are like Lotus Field, Spiral of Canal, and then just like you don't find another land, and then you miss your second land drop and you die a miserable death. I think I'm gonna keep this hand. It's kind of meh. Blood Sun does limit the ability to go down on life effectively. Yeah, I know, Goblin. But by the time that Blood Sun comes down when we're on the draw, it's probably not going to be as impactful, which is my point. On the play, when you can play it on turn 3, maybe your opponent drew like 1 fetch land, 1 normal shock land, and they're at 15, and they can't like deal any more damage to themselves, so they have to start using actual cards like Bolt in order to enable the Death Shadow. That's it. We have done that in previous leagues, and it's been pretty good. But on the draw, it's just like a little bit too slow. So by the time you can play the Blood Sun, it's the same issue with Blood Moon, right? Like Blood Moon against Death Shadow decks on the draw is just not a good idea. It just does. By the time it comes down, you basically spent a turn to play an enchantment that did nothing, and your opponent has a Scourge and a Shadow in play that they're beating you down. So you're basically effectively time walking yourself whenever you cast Blood Moon on the draw. But the awkward thing about this deck is that, you know, it's a very important engine piece. So it's not like Blood Moon is not an engine, it's just a haymaker, right? So because in this deck specifically, we're talking about a card that's kind of part of the mana engine that the deck has. It makes it a little bit more awkward to cut it. Also, the land sequencing here is super interesting, right? Like, we're working with unknown information, but I kind of want to play this Valakut Awakening because I don't want it to get thought seized, okay? So, okay, now things, because we talked like the Serum Patience, now I'm going to lead on Spiral of Canal, but like, am I supposed to play Valakut Awakening on 1 and then Flagstones on 2? Or am I supposed to go Valakut Awakening Spiral of Canal? If I top deck, what's his name? The Lotus Field on turn 3, I definitely want the Flagstones to already be in play, right? So I can sacrifice it and kind of like get a little bit of mana value there, but that is just not doable. It's bottom plus here, top, sorry. But that's not quite the case if I don't top deck it, right? Like, and if I don't top deck it, now I might find myself in a situation where I want to Snapcaster. So the mana has been super awkward, it's kind of like a classic Aspirant Spike thing. Usually the mana in Spike's Bruce is the toughest part because he insists on playing the bare minimum amount of lands. And again, like I was saying earlier, this deck is playing 26 because of course we're cutting Valakut Stoneforge as a land. But it is 26 that in reality, in the early game, it's more like 22. So It's not that clear cut, and we have run into the problem, right? Like we actually found ourselves in situations where we wished that we would have been able to do something about it, you know? Here I'm just gonna run out this Snapcaster. I'm gonna hope to block this Scourge. I guess that we can't do that now, so we're just gonna... Gracias. No. So it's been a trip. It's been quite interesting. This is a line that I think buys me a turn or maybe two by running out the Snapcaster. But at least it stops my opponent from attacking with the Scourge this turn. They're gonna get to attack with the Swift Spear anyway. And if they have a Bolt, like, of course, like, this is a terrible play. But, like, I feel like I'm far behind enough. Again, because I have a bunch of, like, clunky cards in my deck that are meant to only do the thing whenever we have a Lotus in play. So we have found ourselves in this situation multiple times today against the aggressive decks. I think we got paired against Burn, and we got paired against like the Red Black Shadow decks multiple times. So like it's been very cool, but there are some holes in the deck, I think. One of the things, for example, is maybe we should be playing... So if I block here... I guess it's better to just chump this Scourge next turn, actually. This is bad if they have Ren, but... we probably can't win regardless if they have Ren. Now here I'm going for the high upside play, which is to... may potentially top deck another Madcap next turn. Now we are gonna chump because we have to, otherwise we lose to Lightning Bolt, so we're just gonna chump. We have to draw Madcap here. Steam Vents. Steam Vents doesn't do it. Technically, we can cycle this Shark Typhoon for a blocker and chump here. So we're gonna be doing that. We get a couple more looks at the Madcap. But at this point, we are on that plan or bust. And if they have any form of removal, we just actually die. I can settle, that's true. Cryptic Command, it gives me another turn. There are a couple of things that I can find. There are a couple of things. Why not a 1/1? Because I'm not drawing into anything, right? I guess I could draw into a Lightning Bolt, but... I guess that you're right, like I'm just chump blocking regardless, so I should have made a 1/1. I should have made it 1/1 for sure. The Shadow matchup has felt super awkward. Also, how am I 10 minutes ahead of my opponent? This is now officially a mukbang stream. I'm gonna give my opponent the friendly lag check over here. They have lost connection to the game. I guess they are lagging. They have joined the game. We doing the thing, opponent? Can we do the thing, please? Bum ba bum bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum ba bum bum ba bum bum. Honestly, like having to wait all of this time to then just die, it's the worst feeling ever. Now we're totally gonna do this. My opponent's gonna K command my blocker, and then we're gonna die, and I'm gonna be very, very sad. Because I'm assuming that they brought in K command after seeing the Imperion. Can we do it? Can we do it? Can my opponent figure out how to connect to Magic Online? Not the most exciting. There we go. We'll figure out. Opponent figure out. Let's go. Boom. Second shark. Doesn't do anything. I totally fucking call it. Alright, what's this? Alright. Gonna TBR? No, okay, they're not gonna TBR. Okay. I mean, shark technically gives us one more turn. Unless they play another dude. Are they gonna play another dude? Don't play another dude. Okay. They did play another dude. Sad. Sad face. Madcap! Alright. So what we're gonna do here, chat, is we're gonna pitch our entire hand to Valakut Awakening, and we're gonna draw 5 new cards. Amongst those 5 new cards, there needs to be 1 Madcap Experiment / Cryptic Command / the white thingy, Settle the Wreckage, and 1 Lotus. Both things need to be there. Otherwise, this does not work, okay? So are you ready? Are you ready to spin that wheel? 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go. Let's do this right here. Give me that run roll. How about the exact opposite? And we actually go -1 on lands. And now we have an 8/8 that we can't cast. Good. Good stuff. Good stuff. Anyway. Next game. Brutal. That was the worst slow roll, man. That was the worst slow roll. God damn it, mana base. I guess that this is actually not bad enough to mulligan. That's the worst part. Okay, if we find a red source... Oh, maybe I should have... Oh, I should have definitely forced that. Whoops. Whoopsies. Huge Bant, by the way. Massive, massive Bant. We're gonna die with this Force of Negation in our hand. Ugh. Hate it. Play another Vial, please. Oh, this is Spirits. Okay, even worse. Even more punished. Wildfire here. Get an island. Get another Triumph. Play this. Serum Visions. Hopefully find a Bolt. Blood Sun. Guess we do want the Cryptic. But I don't think I'm Crypticing this coming turn, man. This Force of Negation is huge. Like, the fact that I didn't force this and I was F6 is probably gonna cost me the game. Probably gonna cost me the game. That really sucks. I should have paid more attention. The second Vial obviously just doesn't matter anymore, but... It feels like my opponent is just playing straight up blue-red. That's a good one. Blue-white, sorry, not blue-red. Lotus Field is good, and I think so is Snapcaster, so let's keep both of these on top. We'll play this, and I guess that I'm gonna do this after... They definitely have Rattle Chains, though. No Rattle Chains. The chains are not rattling. Am I bolting here? I think... no, I'm actually not. Am I bolting here? Because I get to bolt before my opponent gets to put this Vial on 3. I think I'm letting that go. We get blown out by second Supreme Phantom or Rattle Chains. And then we just get to like Cryptic, bounce the Vial. Well, now that they did this, I think I'm supposed to do this. They might Rattle Chains me anyway, but now it has to be exactly... Okay, it has to be exactly Rattle Chains. And now... Probably gonna Apparition. Well, that's fucked up. That's real fucked up. Still not the end of the world because we can do this and plus play this, suck both of these, and now this will untap, and I think I'm doing this at my end of turn. The Snapcaster bolting. I think we have to do it. If they have another rattle change, we just get super fucked. But it has to be exactly second rattle chains. Nothing else matters. Alright, sweet. That's huge. That is absolutely huge. So now if they have another Lord, they can kill the Teferi. I guess that's not true because we can block the apparition. Okay, 3 mana for what? Another apparition? Alright. I mean, they still need stuff. They don't get to clear the Tef with this. Oh, they have the Lord too? Yeah, okay. Looks like Marvel just had everything. Okay, so now that Teferi dies, we are in a little bit of trouble. Second Teferi, please. Flagstones. So I think I'm gonna Valakut Awakening here. Pitching the Force. We're drawing 2 cards towards... It's not bad. We're drawing 2 cards towards Bolt. That's what I was looking for there. And now we're just in praying mode, right? Like we're just hoping that my opponent just doesn't draw the nuts. Because there are some cards that we can't beat anymore. Like another Supreme Phantom we can't beat. We cannot beat another... we cannot beat this thing. We cannot beat... another Lord. We cannot beat Phantasmal Image. Just gonna trade with the Rattle Chains here. 3/7. We got 7 mana here. That's huge. That is huge. That takes so much pressure off. That takes so much pressure off. So we are gonna take 3, 6, 7, 8. If they had a Lord, they would have played it because it would have been a blowout for us. So they don't have a Lord. That's 3, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11. I'm considering whether I can hardcast the Shark Typhoon here so that we can Nexus next turn. I think I have to. I think me winning this game includes this Shark Typhoon being hardcast. So we're taking this turn off. If they allow me to force something, I'm probably going to do it, like almost regardless of what it is. And then we can make a 7/7 Shark with the Nexus. Okay. So we're gonna start here. Make a Shark. Not playing around Force of Negation, obviously. Now we just chill. We have access to Cryptic. We have access to Tailset, which probably is not going to be doing much. We have access to Snap Cryptic, I guess. It's 2 mana. For the Rattle Chains. Okay. doesn't really do anything. Tap or creatures, draw a card. Huge. That's kind of huge. Am I bolting this Droxcall on end step is the question. And the other question is, can I start swinging? I think we do this because we can, whether it's a Rattle Chains or Spell Queller, we can just tail send the trigger. That one we cannot tail send. Damn it. Okay. Kind of sucks. So let's swing with these dudes. We're gonna upkeep. Upkeep, Cryptic, tap and draw. And even if their last card is a Spell Queller, we can mess with the trigger. Yeah, I realized that afterwards, and I'm trying to fix that issue right here. But yeah, I definitely should have attacked last turn. I don't think it's gonna matter. Yeah, that's why I said that I felt like winning this game basically required us to get the Shark Typhoon going, because it just allows us to turn the corner substantially. How do I feel about tail sending this matchup? I kind of like it. One thing that I have not been doing is when I've been adding the Madcap package, maybe I should be cutting some Teferi's Heroes of Dominaria instead of some of the cheaper cards. Just Cleansing Wildfire seems really bad here. I don't think we want to keep forces, that's why I cut them. Well, this hand is obviously a mulligan. Yeah, this is the kind of hand that I was talking about earlier. Like you see it and you look at the deck list and you're like, oh yeah, 26 lands. Well, that's just not true. That is just an illusion, because you're sometimes given hands like this where you have 3 lands, but that doesn't mean that you can cast any of the spells in your hand. I'm gonna keep it anyway, because I think that if we go down to 5, we probably are not gonna be able to keep up with our opponent. But they went an entire match without showing me a green source. That's kind of insane, actually. I think I'm gonna bolt this thing though. Things get so bad so quick. My opponent's playing an entirely different deck now. Like this sequence of turns this is just not modern power level, right? This is not. We're not playing a modern deck these first 3 turns. And now, like, We're time walking ourselves once more. Or I guess I have to Shark Typhoon here, huh? It's just so bad. Like this is just so slow. The good thing is that if we do manage to make it towards our end game, our end game is indeed quite strong, so we might be able to make things work. I cannot believe what my opponent's mana base looks like right now. They went an entire game without showing me any non-green lands, any non-blue-white lands. I don't even know how they made that happen. Definitely blocking here. My opponent can company, but okay, they don't. So, please resolve. They got the Queller. Yeah. Okay, they got the Queller. Unfortunately, I don't think that we get to pass the turn here. We just have to play this. It doesn't feel great, but it is what it is. I don't think that we can skip our land drop there. But you get to snap Bolt next turn, which is nice. Has it actually been good? I mean, it's been... How can I say it? It's been not necessarily consistent. We have had high highs and we have had low lows. Bottom both of these. Serum Visions again. Bottom and bottom. Play land. We could snap Serum Visions here. That means that we don't get to snap Bolt. But I think that's okay. I think that it's going to be really tough to snap Bolt anyway. And okay, there's the company. Yeah, so I guess snap bolting wasn't really an option. Okay. And now next turn we get to Teferi to settle the wreckage. Taking a bunch of damage here. It's not lethal though. Yeah, I feel like we have to do this. So I guess this makes it so I can actually beat the dude that makes it the one that gets the land. What's the name of the guy? Like the 1-drop. So I guess I'll take it. What's up? What's up, John? How's it going? So this means I can beat the 1-drop. This means I can beat the 1-drop, so let's see if that works. But we cannot beat Spellqueller or the land dude. Cannot beat either one of those. And we're gonna make white and red mana because if we that player. Because we get back if this resolves, we get back the Snapcaster Mage, and then we get back probably our Bolt. That worked. Sick. We didn't lose. Awesome. Lotus feel is modern playable. Yeah, I mean, the deck has been doing some cool stuff. I wonder if we just have to be playing. It kind of feels like we might have to be playing something like a Path to Exile. It's been kind of tough to answer a couple of cards like Death Shadow and whatnot. I guess I'm gonna counter bounce my dude, so counter target spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand. Boom. My opponent was ready for the rattle chains, but the one-off settled that wreckage, alright. Okay, this one is a very good hand, by the way. We can use Tail Send as a double rampant growth here. Probably playing against Storm, I would say. Put in bottom two cards. Gonna go for the Dork here. They do go for the Dork. We do have Force Pitching Nexus. It's not great, but at least it means that it's very likely for us to die. Earlier today I got a little bit greedy and I played around my opponent having gifts, but instead they just had Past in Flames, so I ended up dying. Could have played that match better. Our first league. If my opponent misses their land drop, I'm obviously slamming this to Fairy. If they do hit the land drop, am I playing around Remand or not? That's the question. So land drop being hit. Oh, they played a Dork. That's awesome. This is obviously best case scenario for us. That is absolutely great. Not even messing around. I don't want to see if my opponent can do stuff in response or whatever. Drawing both of our lightning bolts, two of our 4 lightning bolts, it's pretty great though. The Dino speedrun, that's awesome. How about nah? How about nah? Okay, so my opponent's playing the Gust, the boiled version. My opponent's playing the boiled version. Does that mean we cut Blood Suns? I guess I still don't want that many gusts. That's too many gusts. And I guess I'd rather have Tail Send than... Let's go with this. Did you stream some dinos, John? Please tell me you got to punish some Titan gamers. Nothing would make me happier. How are we feeling about that? Usama, 96. So this hand doesn't do anything, right? I mean, this hand does stuff. I think the way I'm gonna sequence things is gonna be Serum Visions on 1. And then we're gonna play the top land on 2. Classic opt-in response to your Serum Visions. For the F6 value. Respect that. I respect that. Triome. There's a Lotus field. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna need that eventually, so... This is an interesting spot. I think I'm gonna do this to hold up Force of Negation so my opponent cannot gifts on my end step. I'm fairly sure that they have Remand in hand. If they don't do anything, I am gonna cycle this Valakut Awakening. Probably pitch in this Cryptic Command and like pieces of the puzzle. It feels force worthy. They have Dispute. That's fine. So we got to trade resources on my opponent's turn, which is not bad, but wow, that's nuts! So my opponent basically spent 3 mana to Gifts and Given with upside. 3 rituals, Past in Flames, Gifts and Given is what they found. They basically have a Gifts and Given with upside. That is kind of insane. So they banned all the rituals. sucks. No. Why? Why you gotta do that? Why do you gotta do that? No. Can I undo here? No, I can't. Damn it. All right. Well, now I'm gonna bottom both. Brutal. It feels so bad when you just do this. Like you play this the fair way, it feels like you're just playing standard or worse. Yeah, when your engines don't come together, this deck feels so bad. It feels really good when your engines come together, though. It feels really, really good when your engines come together. But it does feel a little bit underpowered and very, very clunky if you're not able to put Lotus Field on the battlefield very early, and if you are not able to do that at an advantage. Like we're playing Lotus, like Lotus here is so bad right here, right? Lotus Field is just egregiously bad. Oh wow, we get to untap. That's very sad. That's very, very sad. So I'm probably gonna Cryptic Command my opponent's gifts. It's so bad though. Yep. I mean, untap lands would have been great there. So technically they don't have enough mana to go off. Like these rituals are just not gonna be enough with this Past in Flames, so... They need a dork in order to kill me. They could have an empty turn though. And I probably cannot beat an empty turn. But I think they have at least one remand in hand that they were not able to cash in so far. Well, they can't main phase this Past in Flames. It just doesn't do anything. Oh. Okay, that's a lot more scary now, but... Without Metamorphose, I think we're fine. Means they get to make a shit ton of mana though, but it's all red mana. They only have one blue source. They can gifts though. Ritual up to 5, ritual up to 6. Up to 7. Up to 8. I mean, I guess if this is empty, we're kind of fucked anyway, so... But if this is a grape shot, it's just not enough. And if they gifts... Oh, okay. Yeah, that's... I think that's exactly lethal. Yeah, that's exactly lethal. I guess 1 point above lethal. Okay, let's see if we can beat Storm this time around. First time around we were not successful. Should I be cutting onto fairies? Maybe I should be cutting onto fairies actually. I have no idea what the best configuration would be for this matchup. Kind of feels like Blood Sun could be pretty important. Feels like we need to set up a turn where we go like Blood Sun into Lotus Field or something like that in order to make sure that we can make mana. But Remand seems so tough to play around from them. And we don't seem to have enough tools. Particularly in the cheap interaction department, we're severely lacking. It really feels like standard to just be jamming 4 Teferi heroes on main area. I don't think anybody has played 4 Teferi hero in Modern in probably ever. I want to say ever. See how this is kind of functional. Really bad for Cleansing Wildfire, but we masterfully did not draw any of our Cleansing Wildfires. We masterfully side out, I mean, or Wildfires. I think we go Triumph on 1, and then on 2, Island into Serum Visions. Reason for that, obviously, is that if my opponent plays a Dork on 2, we can bolt it. Otherwise, we are basically time walking ourselves. I guess misusing our mana would be more accurate than time walking. Opponent. Move down to 6. Probably a good thing for us. These lands really did a lot. These lands really did a lot for an archetype like Storm. One bottom, one top, says my opponent. Yeah, we're good with bolts. Definitely good with mountains too. I wonder when they're gonna fix the yield until end step thingy. I think I see them remanding this. Wow. That's so aggressive. Am I supposed to pass the turn here? They literally remanded my Serum Visions right now. I think I have to just like recast this, right? We're going down on Bolt. But I'm kind of taking that as a little bit of a desperation move. That's brutal. So we can't really cast a Cryptic just yet. I think we just bottom both of these. That smells like their hand sucks and they have multiple remands, so they need to remand anything in order to get their cards going. But it, like if my opponent untaps and they play pieces of the puzzle, right, and I just basically gave up a turn for no reason, it's just so bad for us. So I felt like I had to... I kind of felt like I just had to recast that Serum Visions there. This guy let us have to play primetime decks. I've done other things besides playing primetime decks. In fact, the only times that I have top 8'd like big events online has been not with primetime decks. I always top 64 or like top-ish, like top 32 with primetime decks. And when I actually top 8 is when I don't play primetime decks. Opponent deep in the tank. Will I be playing that Wimber Kramer deck on stream anytime soon? If you go to my YouTube channel, you have hours and hours and hours of content on that deck. I've been working on that deck for a long time now. Frederick Automatic haven't got into Reclaiming, watching others first, no primetime experience. Yeah, it's different. It plays out... I watched Doug play the deck, and he was constantly making mistakes because he was... I was telling him, stop thinking like a Maverick player. You have to think like a, Reclaimer player, which is different. You have to... Your engine is the most important thing. Right, like you have to get your engine going and you have to prioritize getting your engine going. So there's a lot of like, okay, can I take this Delver hit if it means that I can, activate Reclaimer and ramp one land? Like how many turns do I have before the Delver kills me, and how much closer can I get to Field of the Dead? Like it just plays differently than Maverick. So if you are planning on just picking up the deck and playing it with a Maverick mindset, you're gonna do a lot of losing. Interesting. This is super interesting. Because my opponent spent a gift to do this. They spent a ritual to go for this. So I think I'm going to ban both of their lands. Then I win a challenge. No, I got second in the leaderboard of the Mana Traders event last month. So I went like 18-2 with the deck. Again, all of that is in my YouTube channel, so you can check it out in there. Yeah, this is a very unusual pile. The only thing that makes me... The only reason why I'm considering binning the lands, it's because my opponent is clearly playing for the long game. And the lands enable my opponent to play the long game. Like, without lands, my opponent cannot play to the long game because they are going to be casting gifts and givens like this one. So if we want to play to the short game, it's better to be in the rituals. But if we want to play to the long game, and I think I want to play to the long game, so I think I'm going to bin the lands. Because I don't think we win in the short game, basically. Yeah, not with this draws. Not with this draws. Yeah, this mana base is just so bad. Oh my god, I can't believe how bad this is. When I see Spike playing this deck, like, he just plays so smoothly, it's crazy. And now that I'm actually the one playing it, it's just so awkward all the time. Every step of the way is just super awkward. Like, your Flagstones are awkward, your Sacred Foundry is awkward, your Lotus fields are super awkward. Am I doing something wrong? What am I doing wrong? Am I mulliganing poorly? Like, am I not mulliganing enough? I don't think I'm sequencing my lands in poor order. I think my land sequencing is fine. Well, there's 3 Valakut Awakenings, so it's actually 26, right? Do we just have to jam here? If my opponent has remand, which I think they have, by the way, because of how aggressively they remanded earlier in the game. The thing is, I just have nothing going on. Like, I have literally nothing going on. So if I don't land this Teferi, what am I doing here? But they could have Mystic, like, Dispute. Like, there's so many cards that they could have here. This is so bad. No, like, if I jam and my opponent has remand or they have Dispute, I just win on the spot, right? I just lose on the spot, I mean. And if I actually do it, it's not like I win either, right? So that's my problem, is the fact that there's not enough upside for me to go for it, if that makes sense. Now we can jam. And if they have Dispute, we're going to lose here. Yeah, okay, they have Dispute. Okay, so now we just lose, I think. So good thing I didn't jam last turn, but I guess it just didn't matter because... Brutal. Absolutely brutal. And we still, it's turn 6 and we still cannot cast our Cryptic Command that we've had in our hands since turn 2. And we have cantrip through 15 cards. We've gone through 15 cards and we still are not able to cast this Cryptic Command. Only seen this game and the last, but I noticed your keeps are pretty anemic. Like you need at least 2 pieces of Field Tails, Bloodsun. So how low am I supposed to go for those cards? Dark Shrooms. Like, am I supposed to move to 5 looking for those cards? Like, is that really the plan? Because I don't think I'm winning a game where I'm moving to 5 looking for those cards. Okay, so we do this now. And I think that I play this Lotus Field, but I don't Tail Send because Tail Send is literally our only form of interaction here. So we're gonna do this, float a mana just because, and we're gonna bin this and this. Gonna get another Triome. And pass the turn. If you get behind with none of those pieces, you're at least 2 perfect draws away from doing literally anything, though. Yeah, but like again, I'm saying that you can only go so low looking for those pieces. Like once I have mulligan to 6, like am I really supposed to not keep what looks like a potentially functional hand because I might get got? Yeah, I guess we pass here. Okay, so now our mana is in place. Maybe we have a little bit of a shot here. And by the way, huge deal, the fact that I was able to counter draw. The fact that I was able to like bin the lands for my opponent has been an insane deal here. Maybe I should have let that resolve. Huh, should I have let that resolve? Because my opponent was going to discard otherwise? Nah, I think it's better for me to just like use the Cryptic and attempt to draw towards like another Teferi or something, like one of my engine pieces. Try it and see. Yeah, I've been mulligan a lot in the previous matches. Like I have played multiple games on 5 because I was being dealt just unkeepable hands. But I don't think you can go down to 4, right? Because at that point, you just don't have enough stuff. Once you're down to 4 cards, even the perfect combination of cards is not gonna save you. Even if you're able to land in Lotus Field on turn 2, like that requires, on turn 3, sorry, that requires you to like use another card in Tail Send. So it's kind of awkward. Not in your average matchup, right? Like there are some matchups where, like for example, against Green-White Reclaimer, you can kind of mulligan for Bloodsun because that card is just so insane in that matchup specifically that that card by itself is gonna be worth multiples of your opponent's cards. So you can be a little bit more. Aggressive with your mulligans. Sinalco 87, thank you for the follow. It's kind of interesting how my opponent is attempting to play the long game, but they just don't really have the cards to play the long game. Was... Oh, hey, how's it going, Sinalco? Yeah, GG's earlier. The mirror seemed kind of interesting. Yeah, my opponent just discarded to hand sides. All right. Yeah, I cut all my Blood Suns and I cut all of my Wildfires in the mirror match because like Wildfire sounds kind of bad overall. And the issue that I have with Blood Sun is like Blood Sun is like a turn 8 play or something. Because if you play Blood Sun on turn 3 and your opponent plays a Lotus Field and they place the Fairy, like you just lost. Like there's no way around it. You literally just lost. So I don't want to pick on a fight while this card is in play, right? So that's how I lose this. They remand their own Baral. We can snap Cryptic. If we snap Cryptic, we put a clock in place. We put a clock in place. And I think we have to. We get destroyed, like completely destroyed by Dispute. So if my opponent has Dispute here, we get completely owned. But I think like attempting to dig closer to one of the threats, and they have Dispute. Yeah, okay. So I guess we couldn't really win this fight. So now my opponent trades 1 for 0, I guess. Do we actually have nothing to go get with this? With Flagstones? This is just the saddest timeline. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, the Flagstones literally doesn't do anything. So I guess I'm gonna hold on to these lands for. Valakut Awakening. Wildfire, Lotus Luna's Blood Sun is also not a bad. Yeah, but in that case, your Wildfire doesn't do anything unless your opponent or you kept the Blood Sun, right? So if you have one without the other, they are both dead cards. I mean, I guess Wildfire is a dead card if you are. Okay. Morphos, Dispute, and Baral. Alright, so my opponent has empty, so we're probably just dead, I would imagine. That doesn't get anything. So I think I am going to snap Caster Serum Visions. Tail Send. Definitely want that one. Can snap Tail Send the Storm Trigger. Yeah, it apparently I'm taking what Spike said, obviously, as you know, his experience is probably a lot more than mine. But what he said is that it's not. Tail Send is only good against specifically Empty the Warrens. But usually when they kill you, when they attempt to kill you with Grape Shot, usually like they have way more than enough to do it multiple times, so they just kill you dead, you know. Also, I should have Tail Sended that. I'm stupid. Damn it. Okay, now we just have to save this Gust for. We just have to save this Gust for the Pasting Flames. Cut on top can't be good for me. The issue now is that we also have so many blanks at this point. We have so many cards that don't do anything. Like if we draw a Blood Sun, that's like a 3-mana cantrip. That's just terrible. Like even after Valakut Awakening, like we're still pretty far behind. So our route is for my opponent to like go a little bit too harsh here, to go for something that just doesn't work out and then get punished. Seems rough though. I guess our route is also for them to time out. Like that's another potential out that we have. They're down to 2 minutes and a half. Not in great shape. Not in great shape here. We may be able to maneuver a win, unless we can play through Dispute, which is nice. Or Manda is kind of a blowout. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. I guess this is our last turn anyway. Okay, what do they got? Empty the Warrens. Pyretic Ritual Metamorphose. So I think we beat the rituals. So they have double empty and Past in Flames. So the idea now is to gust the Past in Flames. Empty the Warrens. That's 7 spells. That's 8. So that's going to be 16 gobos. So we know they have another empty in hand. So this is 2 turns, right? This is 2 turns. Now we can tail send there. And we gust this. So we block, we block. I think we're supposed to still save the gust for this Past in Flames. Or we can just cantrip it and just a 1 deeper. I think that cantrip into the 1 deeper seems like the better option. Grape shot. Okay. Alright, so we're gonna Valakut Awakening for the full amount here. Trying to find like a cryptic command and stuff like that. Or just a bunch of nothing instead, I guess. Just a bunch of nothing. So the cycle, shark, and what are we looking for here? The same things like cryptic. There we go. So upkeep, cryptic, tap and draw. And we have to draw into an answer for the Past in Flames. Alright, we play on. We play on. Awful that we had to pitch that there, but... Are we in the same spot? I think we're in the same spot. I think we're in the same spot here where we have to cycle into like a cryptic or an, I guess we're out of Snapcaster, so it has to be exactly cryptic. And we drew a blank. And we died. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. That's what I was looking for. That would have been great. Anyway. Should I have played my land at some point? Could I have played my land in order to... No, because I drew into the land from the thing. Yeah. I drew into the land from the Valakut Awakening. I needed my lands to pitch to Valakut Awakening, so... If I had played my lands, I would have lost, so... In fact, I even played land and shocked, so... Yeah, I couldn't have avoided it. I couldn't have avoided it. Brutal. Feels really bad to lose one like that one. Feels very bad. How is this deck working out so well for Spike and so poorly for me? I mean, okay, what is this? What is this a keep? I think I'm supposed to keep this hand. I'm assuming that this is a keep. I can't really be too... Really? Are we playing against Storm again? What is going on today with Storm players everywhere? Should be Kiki or Breach. Am I supposed to Blood Sun here? I think I'm gonna Blood Sun. Okay. I mean, they could have countered this. They could have countered it. Ha! No scrying for you. No scrying for you. I'm not jamming into my opponent's 3 open mana. They can tap my land with the Zero Exarch. Okay, they didn't tap my land. Cool. Boom, another one of these. So if I Teferi here, we can still Cryptic. Remand. So here comes the Exarch. If Exarch taps this land, we just let it resolve. They untapped their land instead. Okay. We could bold snap bold, but that loses to Force of Negation. Oh man, this is so awkward. Now we just get a jam. Just gonna continue jamming into my opponent's open mana. Except now they have an Exarch in play. One, two, three, and tap. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so we can't Cryptic bounce the Exarch, fortunately. The problem is that turns are going by and I'm not using this Cryptic command. So I don't know how much I love that. I have so many stupid Teferis. I guess eventually they're gonna resolve. Sooner or later, I guess. Something has to happen. Sweet. So now we start doing the thing. Facing a lot of slow opponents today. What do we got here? Magmatic Sinkhole. That's a card. That's a card, alright. Am I supposed to bolt this? I guess I can snap Cryptic here. I'm trying to figure out how much I care about the clock that my opponent's presenting. I think I care a little bit. Let's go again. It's kind of awkward how expensive my spells are, so I'm kind of forced into... And like in situations like this, I'm kind of forced into jamming, because otherwise, like, it just gets awkward on my mana. Like, if I don't actually use my mana... Just gonna tell Sandy trigger. Why not play the land? Because this is a legendary land, right? This is also a legendary land, and the Blood Sun means that the triggered ability from the Flagstones doesn't happen. It's actually pretty awkward. So yeah, Blood Sun plus redundant Flagstones is definitely a numbo. It's definitely a numbo. You had Snap Cryptic online. I think my opponent has multiple forms of counter magic, so having access to Snap Cryptic doesn't really do too much for me. I'm just trying to trade my cards because all of my cards are just 2-for-1s. Kind of want to just cast this Shark Typhoon, but I don't think that we can, realistically speaking. So they have used 2 Snapcaster Mages, 3 Archmage's Charm, 1 Cryptic. That's what we got so far. I'm considering just cycling this Shark Typhoon, but the problem is if my opponent steals it with an Archmage's Charm. But if I make it a 3-3, then my opponent can just bolt it. But I don't want to get to a point where we are just dying to a lightning bolt, you know? This is a rough spot. This is a rough spot, actually. So I think I want to make my shark... Just make it a 3-3, I guess. So we can bolt it if we need to. Opponent's gonna bolt it. So opponent down to 1 Snapcaster, maybe 1 or 2 Cryptic Tops. If they have Jays, we get punished, but if they don't have Jays, we should be fine. Of course, Kiki just does not matter right now, obviously. They can resolve it if they want to. It just doesn't do anything. Yep, there we go. So this kind of tells me that their other card in hand is a Kiki Jiki, which probably means that we're in fine shape. 3, 4, 5, 6. I could Nexus here, but that doesn't really do anything for us, so I'm just gonna pass. Thank you for that follow there, not Nick. Airy Keeneman, thank you for the follow. So now Nexus is kind of nice because we can Nexus on end step. And then my opponent can counter it. If they force it, it's kind of awkward, but the idea is we're forcing an interaction in my opponent's end step. Otherwise, we have like 1 turn of like doing whatever we want. Granted, there's not that much that we can do in that 1 turn. Not really until we find one of our engine pieces, but it seems worth. Okay, turn number 1. So my opponent's gonna let me use my mana here? Seems pretty good for me. Like they're just letting me use my mana in one of my, like even before my extra turn happens. This seems super good for me. That was just excellent. Like, we got a ton of mileage out of this turn. Play this land, not play this land. We can cycle it. Yeah, okay. Let's cycle it. feel like we got a very solid amount of value from that turn. Take one. No. Snuckers. I think I actually do like going aggro here because it means that it just makes their aggro plan so much worse. Nice draw. Bold is pretty solid here. That's pretty hot. It's pretty hot if you ask me. Attacking with both. Okay. Tap 2 lands, hard cast Shark Dive. Cool, 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 cool. I was gonna say they probably shouldn't be doing that main phase. So my opponent's gonna have boils. Puts me in an awkward spot. This deck is pretty cool. Yeah, it's been very interesting. It's been super interesting. Like we have found ourselves in situations that you don't often find yourself in, you know, when you're playing Magic. Like, it really has made me think a lot in a different way than we're used to thinking in Magic. So this counters Kiki, but so does Gust. And Gust also counters Boil, so kind of like Gust better. They could have like Jaces though. I guess Narset seems kind of medium to me. Like, it's probably so easy for them to clear the Narset. I'm gonna go with something like this. I'm unclear how good this setup's gonna be, but Forte Fairy, man, that's so wild to me. After 13 matches, I'm still like, are we really playing a deck with Forte Fairies, Hero of Dominaria? Yes, I guess we are. Keep this, bottom that. One, two, three. This is my 4th mana source. I guess Boil doesn't do anything, which is pretty funny. I kind of want to bottom both though for now. This is such a cool land. Big fan of Reflecting Pool. I think that we jam here because we're not too scared of the outcome. Like my opponent can remand it, he can counter it, it's kind of whatever. I guess Jace is the only potentially problematic thing could happen here. Should have let it resolve, opponent would have entered and tapped. Remand, you got it. You can boil me here, blow up one of my lands. Got him, that's how the kids say. Missing land drops is huge here. Really sucks. I'll make a 3/3 shark on end step. Put one card on top. I think I'm making just a 1/1 here. We just trade. Can I trade? Or are you gonna use a card? Okay. Can do the same thing next turn. There we go. Bottom that one, but top that one. Oh, I should have made it 1/1. That was really bad. Now we lose to Exarch. Yikes, 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 yikes. That was really bad. Yeah, that was super bad. I literally made that exact play last turn for this very reason. God damn it. That feels so bad. Yeah. Okay, I deserve to lose this one, obviously. One misstep, and I died. Chi-chi-chi, thank you for the follow. There's the Kiki. Oh, so bad. It was so easy to play around too. Like I had to do exactly what I did on the previous turn, but I don't know. I just I just didn't think about it. We were slowly turning the corner there. That sucks. But it's okay. Whenever I make like a stupid mistake, it's and I get punished for it, it's just fair, you know? It's just fair. So I I try to not get too upset. Like I knew what the right play was. It's just for whatever reason I don't know why I clicked one too many. There was no difference between the 2-2 or the 1-1. Like I was actually just going to trade with the Snapcaster. I was gonna trade regardless. ¿Contra qué juegas 3 rondas? No me acuerdo. Chi. No, la verdad que no me acuerdo. Puedes verlo en los bots o vas a poder verlo en YouTube mañana. Pero jugué contra... Esta es la tercera liga, jugué contra muchas cosas hoy. No, la verdad que no me acuerdo. Storm fue una que perdimos recién. Esa es la única que me acuerdo. Question is what I played against. I don't know. I just don't remember. I remember we lost against Storm. But at this point... After the third league, they all just start like blurring together. And I just have no idea what's going on anymore. To 6. Seeing the wildfire should be remains so you have more early mainboard interaction. I don't know. I didn't build a deck for it. I assume that Spike has a very good reason for doing this. Don't really know what that reason is, but I'm assuming, like I respect him as a deck builder a lot, so. I assume that he has considered all the options and he has arrived at the one that works best for what he wants to be doing at least. How different is Spanish among South American countries? Very different, actually. Super different, actually. The other resolving is kind of huge, actually. Sacking Flaxlands to Lotus Field. Yeah, it happens a lot, and it's been kind of powerful. It's been kind of strong to do that. Because it's like your lands just naturally ramp. The only thing that it requires of you is that you put those lands into your deck. And it's not free, by the way. Let me just be very clear and just... It's not free to put these lands in your deck. Flagstones is a tough one. So I think that we're getting remanded here. Let's play this tapped. Yeah, we have gotten a lot of awkward draws. We have gotten a lot of awkward draws that we just had to mull in. Is it more north versus south, like in Argentina and close to the Chilean than to Colombian or Venezuelan? Yes and no at the same time. Amongst a couple of countries, like for example, Argentina and Uruguay are very, very, very close countries, like historically speaking even. Uruguay was a part of Argentina at some point. So, like, in those countries specifically, for example, it is a lot closer than amongst other countries. But even like within Argentina, like different regions have different accents. Same thing as in the US, right? Same thing as in the US. Poor tapping from opponents, so now they cannot have Archmage's Charm. I mean, it's not like I can tap out anyway, but it's just, you know, poor tapping on their part. Another Exarch. These Exarchs have been an absolute pain in the ass. Absolute pain in the ass. Their silly 1/4 buddy that I can't bolt. They can't tap Lotus Field. No, they can't tap Lotus Field right now. That's pretty cute, right? Third one's a charm. Third time is indeed the charm. 6, 7. Can make a 4/4 shark. Kill one of these. My opponent can steal it with Archmage's Charm is the only problem. They didn't have Charm earlier though. Bit dumb way because he forgot that the Madcap combo game 2 and game 3 sided back in but didn't see any paths. This deck doesn't have any paths, or... Oh, you mean in your deck, Freed, you had paths? Like, if they were gonna try to interact with this shark, they should have done it before I drew the card. Like, I could have drawn a force. I didn't, but I could have. Put it on top, probably bad news for me. That's great news for me. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're not attacking anymore, huh? We're not feeling so frisky anymore, huh? That's very funny. That's very funny. Not feeling so frisky anymore. Super cute. Super cute. Here's a shark. There's 4 damage. Tap for red. So many bolts. So this is 12 points of burn. So if I want to, next turn I can start like going face. But I don't want to go face just yet because I want my opponent to take this 4. Alright. Bolt you. So I don't go to discard. So I don't go to discard. Ah, wink, wink, wink. Another Seaver Exarch. We got it. We still have 6, 9 mana. Still got 9 mana. That's funny. Funny how that worked out. No answer for the shark. Bolt you. And bolt you. Remand. Sounds good. Bolt you. That was cool. That's like the ultimate Jeskai win, right? That's like the ultimate Jeskai win. Like, do some stuff, blah, 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 pew, 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 pew towards the end. So many Lurrus decks today. So many Lurrus decks. Am I keeping this? I guess I am. Lotus field burn. Exactly. Exactly. Amulet and when I just got because we pew pew. We figure it out. Amulet is Jeskai. You heard it here first, chat. You heard it here first. Amulet is Jeskai. That's funny. Please play a Stoneforge so I can tail send it. Tail Send doesn't really line up well against this deck, I don't think. That sucks. Vomit. Not playing Blood Sun there. If I play Blood Sun there, I'm telling my opponent, kill me. Come on, kill me. I have literally no interaction for whatever you're doing, so just kill me. No big deal. So no, I don't want to do that. Doesn't feel particularly interesting for me to do that. We can trigger. We can counter this. We can counter the equipment. But then my opponent just equips with Pure Steel Paladin, so like we're fucked anyway. So I'm just gonna try to... Okay, we take 9. And now we just have to, I guess, draw into Cryptics. So we're gonna Valakut Awakening for kind of everything. How did I do with Ur on the Elvish Reclaimer deck? It was cool. I didn't like love it or anything. It feels like we're gonna need these 2 cards to win somehow. So we tap and draw. Andrea with the 2-1 sub. 17th month. Thank you so much for the continued support, Andrea. What is this madness? You don't want to know. You don't want to know. So we're just gonna Cryptic tap. Tap and draw. Snapcaster. Have another hammer in hand. 2 hammers. Make that 2 hammers. So we're gonna have to draw into exactly Cryptic Command. We have 3 that we're looking for here. Cryptic Command 1 time. Cleansing Wildfire. Not quite. Not quite. We died again. We died again. Something like this. Nexus seems so bad too. Yeah, that's why I'm keeping a couple. They do have Ink Moth. Inkmoth Hammer is both terrifying and hilarious. It kind of is. It's also so cute, the fact that like it doesn't fly. That is somehow so I don't know, I just think it's hilarious. The fact that it steals flying from the creature, it's just funny to me. I don't know why. Classic. Absolutely classic. Am I keeping this because it has double bolt? I think I am. I mean, I just think that our deck sucks against theirs. We can shuffle this away later, hopefully, with a Valakut. What's his name? The hammer is heavy, so it wasted. Yeah, no, I do understand the reasoning. I do understand why it is a thing, but I just think it's hilarious anyway. I still think it's absolutely hilarious. How I think I wanna get a little bit cute here. I think I wanna get it a little bit cute. Perfect fucking mana. Perfect fucking mana. I guess this don't really matter. All right, please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. And then I guess we just have to bounce this dude. We knew about that one. Do they have another one? Yes, they do. Nice. Once again, I don't know. I don't know if Spike always hits the very, very high upside draws, or he just always makes his mana work somehow. But every time I play a Spike deck, my mana is an absolute mess. Like, non-functional. Just non-functional. And I just lose game after game after game after game because my mana just doesn't cast my spells. I don't know why that is. Like, it really surprises me. I really don't understand why that is. I'm gonna be trying, whenever I check out his stream, I'm gonna try to make sure that I pay closer attention to like his mulliganing decisions and stuff like that, because the list is the exact same, right? Like I just copied and pasted Spike's list. But somehow every single time when we play the Jeskai deck, like the other one, the one with flagstones and stuff. Let me see if I can find it real quick so I can show you. Where is it? There we go. It was literally right below it. And when we were playing this deck, the same thing happened all the time. Like whenever he played the deck, everything, like every piece would just fall into place beautifully. He would not have any trouble. He would like be able to cast Cryptic Command on turn 4 every single game. And whenever I played this deck, I ended up with a hand of like Hallowed Fountain, Flagstones of Trocaire, Mystic Sanctuary, like Sacred Foundry, and then I would have like a Cryptic Command in my hand, and it's turn 5, and I still can't cast it. I don't know how that's a thing. Landy, thank you for so much for the follow. Like I don't know, it just always baffles me. And this is after I made the changes. Like Spike plays 24 lands. Maybe even he plays 23. And he plays the full 4 Flagstones. Like this is after I basically got tired of losing to my mana. So I actually went ahead and I made some changes. And I added a land and I cut a Flagstones and I switched that Flagstones for another fetch land. So this is even after I made changes to the deck to make it a little bit more consistent at being able to cast its spells. And I would still struggle to play stuff in curve. And here we saw the same thing, right? I had double lightning bolt in hand, which I would have. It was enough. Like the double lightning bolt was enough. The double lightning bolt would have been enough to beat my opponent, like straight up, right? The problem is that I had my mana base was Flagstones and Rogin Triumph. So I played Triumph on 1. I played Flagstones on 2. And then I bolted my opponent. And then I couldn't bolt because my opponent was holding up the other thingy. And then I died. I was missing a land drop, obviously, because I'm playing 23 lands. So I was missing a land drop, so I had to tap this in order to cast my Serum Visions, which I obviously could not cast off of my Flagstones. And then that tapped me out of red mana, which I couldn't play a red source. So that tapped me out of my red mana. My opponent killed me when they untapped. It's wild. It's so wild to me. It's so wild to me how everything just always seems to work out whenever I watch him play. And whenever I try the same thing, I just get completely destroyed. So maybe I just have to either stop copying his decks. I have to stop playing Spike's decks, or I have to, I don't know, like make changes that I consider to be reasonable. Like, this is not to say that Spike is a bad deck builder. Obviously, he's a master. He's probably like the best deck builder that Modern has seen in years. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody be as dominant as Spike is in terms of like his impact in the Modern metagame. But yeah, I don't know. They just don't work for me. But yeah, Spike is a wizard, Harry. Yeah, I know. Only Spikes wins with Spike's decks. That's not true, because I've seen other people win with Spike decks. Like I remember a lot of people winning with the Sharkblade deck, for example. Those are paid actors. That could explain it, yeah. His opponents were plants. That's also possible. Watch Pie for the first time. They have a friend, and yeah, they do, Daniel. Yeah, it's hilarious. Because I would always go into Spike's deck, and I would into Spike's stream, and I would always I would always tell him, oh, I would land here. So it kind of turned into a meme. Flagstones in this deck has such a huge cost since it casts so few spells. That's been always my issue, right? Even in this deck, this deck is straight up Jeskai, right? Like, we are actually playing a lot of white spells, but even in this deck, Flagstones is a huge issue as well, to the point where I decided to cut one, where I'm just like, I just cannot do this. Like, I can't be doing this because I'm just dying with a bunch of spells in my hand. Like, what literally what just happened in the last game. That just happened all the time to me when I was playing the Jeskai deck. And this happened multiple matches that I died with the same situation. I'm just sitting here with a bunch of cards in my hand, but my mana just doesn't do anything. Like, my mana just doesn't cast any of the spells in my hand. So I just die with a bunch of spells that I am never able to cast. If you would like to adjust the deck, what would it be? I don't know. Like, I really don't know. For example, I think that the wildfires are probably just... We probably can't play this. We probably just cannot play the wildfires. And I think that the deck... I know, I sound like a broken record, but I think that this deck has bad mana. Even with 26 lands, those 26 lands in reality are 22 lands. Because the Lotus field in your opener doesn't count as a land. So you basically are looking at 22 lands. Of those 22 lands, you have 4 mountains and 5 plains. So out of all of those lands, you still have all of these lands and the Sacred Foundry. So 12 of your lands are going to cast the Cryptic Command, right? So unless you have Lotus Field, it is extremely hard to cast your Cryptic Command. So that just makes things a lot more challenging. It's pretty rough. It's pretty rough. I wonder if you can just not afford to play Flagstones. Like, you just don't play Flagstones, you play more blue and red sources instead, and then you add like you cut the wildfires, because the second that you cut the Flagstones, now the wildfires don't make sense, and then you add like more Tail Sands, and you just go up the full 4 Lot Sands and the full 4 Tail Sand, and you take it from there. The nice thing about Flagstones is that the combo with Lotus Field, like, this was the interaction that we saw the most, right? Like, the Lotus Field plus Flagstone interaction came up so many times. So, like, I'm not saying that interaction is bad or anything like that. I'm just saying that I don't know if the mana base in this deck can afford to play. Like, the upside is definitely there. But whenever you are not doing the Lotus Field, whenever you don't draw exactly Lotus Field, it feels like your deck kind of doesn't function. So I guess if I were to build this, I would cut these and I would cut these. I guess we can move these to the sideboard. And then I would go up the 4th Tail Sand, go up the 4th Blood Sun. Where is it here? Go up the 4th Blood Sun. And then we can add probably 1 more island. Maybe even 2. I would even consider adding like a second copy of the island. You do need the Steam Vents and the Spiral of Canal, so Cascade Bluffs is probably where my mind would go. So a couple of Cascade Bluffs, and the last land... What would the last land be? Because Cascade Bluffs also fixes your Valakut Awakening, right? Like, all of a sudden now, if you have a Valakut Awakening plus Cascade Bluffs, now you can just cast your Cryptic Commands, no problem. So it feels like Cascade Bluffs would do a lot of work here. Yeah, you cannot play Mystic Sanctuary. This is not a Mystic Sanctuary deck. You just don't play enough lands. You just don't play enough islands to make Mystic Sanctuary work, and you don't play fetch lands because fetch lands plus Blood Sun is not great. Double Flaxlands is another blue source. Yeah, but it's an ETB tapped blue source, which again was relevant in the matchup that we literally just lost. And not only that, but you still have the issue of the nombo between Blood Sun and Flagstones, which came up multiple times. Where we have a Flagstones in play, and we have a Blood Sun in play, and we have one Flagstones in the hand, and until you draw another Valakut Awakening, that's basically like a bad Lotus Petal. It's basically a Lotus Petal that costs you that you have to crack right now, and that it costs you a land drop. So it's not a good Lotus Petal. Is there a situation like where you hand the bell into a child, they say it's broken because all it does is screech? It could be. It could be. But look, I have nothing but respect for Spike. Like I am a mod in his channel. I've been subbed to his channel for a while. I think that he is the best deck builder that Modern has seen in years, like actual years. But every time I play his lists, and I only say this after I play multiple matches, in this case 3 leagues. I only say this after I have played like at least 2 leagues with the deck. Like I never draw conclusions before I actually have had the experience. But whenever I play those leagues, I just smash my head against the wall over and over and over again. And it's because of the same situations. So I feel like, that's the definition of madness, or like something like that. Whenever you you make the same mistake over and over again, but you expect a different conclusion. That's I don't know which word. I think it's madness, but I can't remember exactly. So like at that point, I just have to make changes, right? Like if I like the shell, which I do, I think it's doing something actually quite powerful. But if I do like the shell and I'm just like losing to the same scenarios over and over again, then we have a problem, right? Like definitely there's something that Spike is doing that I'm not, or I don't know. It's just variance that I always hit the wrong side of, which could also be. All right, what else? And the issue that Flagstones is another blue source, because when you do it and draw a second copy, you have it. It's just a fallacy. That's just not true. That's just not true. Because when you draw the single copy, that's like saying that Field of Ruin is a rainbow land. That's just not true. That's just not how it works. Because you get paired against mono red, and now you don't have any of your colors. You have a colorless lands, right? So that way of thinking is just flawed by definition. Just by starters, that's like the wrong way of looking at it. So yeah. But yeah, and Mystic Gate, once you cut the Flagstones, there's no reason for Mystic Gate, and Cascade Bluffs works with Valakut Awakening, so it's just a lot better, I think. How about the Triumph? Should we keep it since we remove Flagstones so we don't have fetches? That's a good question, actually. Maybe just like an untapped source would make more sense. That's a good question, though. That's definitely a very good question. Like at that point, maybe even Sacred Foundry just doesn't make sense. And you want to just like cut all of these. I mean, we are playing Teferis, though. We are playing Teferi, so that's one thing that you want to keep into account, I guess. So you still need a non-zero amount of white sources. So that makes things a lot more awkward, actually. I had forgotten about the fact that we do have Teferi in the deck, so that makes things a lot more awkward. Because all of these lands are the ones that cast Teferi, but now all of these don't. Yeah, maybe this is a lot tougher to build than I expected. Insanity, thank you, Average Joe. What will someone ban feel of the dead and amulet? Who said that? I don't know. Like the idea of cutting flagstones. Yeah, it was far and away the most awkward land. This deck does stomp Titan decks. Yeah, of course, because like Blood Sun is just brutal against Titan decks. Basics and check lands if you're not playing flagstones. No, I don't agree with that. I think I'd much rather have access to like Cascade Bluffs and stuff. That has also been an issue, right? Like, I actually did like, I was expecting the Spiral of Canals to be terrible, but they were actually not that bad. The reason for that, obviously, is the fact that Lotus Field actually puts you behind in amount of lands. It puts you ahead on mana, but it actually puts you behind on amount of lands. So very often we were able to like go turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, and then we would play Spiral of Canal on turn 4, and it would enter untapped, and we still would have 4 mana. So that was actually pretty cool. But I don't think that you can play that many ETB tap lands because, again, you're trying to cast... Look at this part of the curve. Like, this is so many 4 and 5 drops. Like, that's insane for... Even for a modern deck. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, that's 8 4+ mana cards. It's so much. It's just so much. So I think that I would play some form of untap lands. The blue-red pathway would be interesting. The red-white pathway could be interesting as well. Yeah, honestly, I don't think how I would build this mana base if I'm being honest with you. Like, we already established that these cards don't really make that much sense anymore. The planes still make sense, right? Because you're playing against like Cleansing Wildfire, you're playing against like the basics still make sense against Blood Moon. So no arguments there. No arguments with the basic land. But once you cut the second that you cut the flagstones, now there's no need for playing like these lands. So you can play other ETB and tap lands. Probably these are still like the best option, just because, you know, shock lands are just the best lands that we have in the format. So maybe we still play like Hallowed Fountain and shit. So, but maybe like we don't need to play Triumph anymore. Cycling Triumph has come up multiple times though. It's like a mini Valakut Awakening if you think about it. But yeah. The thing is, once you're cutting the engine, like once you're cutting the flagstones, is the engine even worth it? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you really supposed to keep to build a deck like this when all that you're doing in order to Lotus Field? Like, tail sending your Lotus Field is cute and everything, but is it really that good? You're basically casting... I guess it has put you up. It has put you up 2 mana, so I guess it's not Rampant Growth. Yeah, so I guess it's better than Rampant Growth. Yeah, maybe better than Rampant Growth is. It's modern playable, I guess. So maybe it is just fine. But it seems so tough to balance, right? Because do you want to play more cards that cast your spells, or do you want to play more cards that make your engine more consistent? Spike's approach has been to play more cards that make the engine more consistent, but then I have died in the early game against like Hammer Time. Also, I feel like Path to Exile would be so much better than Lightning Bolt. Between Hammer Time, the Shadow decks, Primeval Titan / Dryad. Elvish Reclaimer even. But I guess against Reclaimer Bolt is just better because you don't want a Path Reclaimer on turn 1 because that puts you super far behind. It's a tough balance. Man, Magic is so tough sometimes. Just 0408 a league, please someone cancel me. Why would anybody cancel you? Just say where would people get their fun facts if you were cancelled? You have basically earned uncancelable status. Just uncancelable, straight up. Straight up cannot be cancelled. This was a fun fact in and of itself. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Anyway, enough with the rambling. Thank you so much for checking out the stream. Hopefully you enjoyed the rambling and hopefully you enjoyed the leagues. I like the point of view you have on Spike saying, oh, thank you, Landis. Well, at least you enjoyed it. You enjoyed the rambling and you enjoyed the leagues, hopefully. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you watching on YouTube. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. I will see you in the next video. Have an amazing rest of your day and take care. Bye-bye.